slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness.
This topic of tempo runs for marathon training is definitely an interesting one for sure. I think a lot of marathoners, we try to run too far too early in our buildups. Okay, if you're just starting, say like a 16-week to a 24-week buildup, hopefully it's a 20 to 24-week buildup if you're training for the marathon. It's very difficult to go out there and run at anaerobic threshold for, say, 16 kilometers or 10 miles. Okay, I usually start off around 3 to 4 miles as my starting point for my own tempo runs for marathon training. Okay, I want to get adapted to what it feels like to handle 3 miles or around 5 kilometers at my goal marathon race pace or close to it. And usually it's extremely difficult at first, running 3 to 4 miles at that particular effort. So be patient when you're training and you're trying to extend the duration of your tempo runs, because it's not going to be easy regardless what capability you are. If you're a sub 3 hour marathoner or a sub 220 marathoner or sub 210 marathoner, it's difficult for us all. The hardest part is just being patient and allowing your body to adapt to the stress you're placing on it. And I always recommend, because this was recommended to me by Jack Hazen, who was my collegiate coach at Malone University, he would always tell us it takes about 3 weeks to a month for your body to adapt to any stress load you're placing on it. And we followed this principle at Malone University when we were training for cross country. And this helped me to get down to 24:32 for 8K for cross country when I was at Malone University. We would do 6 1-mile repetitions on the grass, and he would have us start off at 85% of our top marathon or our top mile time. So my best mile time is 4:22. So you usually would start off right around 4:20. I would base my max mile time off 4:20. So I would usually start off doing my mile repeats at 5:05 per mile. And we would do those 85% reps for 3 weeks during the cross-country season. Once we finished our 3rd week, we would start our next 3 weeks training block at 88%. So that moved the reps down to, I believe it was around 454 to 455 per rep. Usually it was between 2 and 3 minutes of recovery on the grass. And we would do that for 3 weeks. So this same principle that Coach Hazen had us doing was brought down from him that he learned from Dr. Joe Vigil, who's one of the world's top distance running coaches and one that I usually mention a lot as well here on these videos. Tempo runs take time for your body to adapt to, so especially for marathon training. But I think what you want to do is you do want to work to a point where you're running at anaerobic threshold around 88 to 92% of max heart rate, up to around 16 to 20 kilometers, or around 10 miles to around 12 miles in length. If you can lengthen that tempo run out, especially for the marathon, your ability to not only clear lactic acid more effectively, but you're going to be able to clear it faster than it's building up. And that's what you want to do. We want to be able to sustain our race pace longer than our competition. It's going to not only help your race pace to feel easier, but it's going to help your easy, relaxed pace to feel that much easier as well. Okay, if you're running, say you're running at 7:30 mile pace right now, if you stay consistent with this training block and you really work toward improving your ability to go longer periods of time at tempo run effort, that 7:30 mile pace is going to feel more like 8:30 mile pace several weeks down the line. It's not going to be hard at all. Okay, and your goal race pace, it's still going to be a challenge, of course, but it's going to feel much more in control. You're not going to feel as labored. Okay, your heart's not going to have to work quite as hard. Okay, you're going to be able to run at the same heart rate you were running at in the early stages when you weren't very fit, but your paces at that same heart rate are going to be dramatically faster. And that's the beauty of training at anaerobic efforts on a consistent basis. Okay, it's not just about the volume you're doing, it is about the quality of the volume you're doing. So you have to get beyond just running just high mileage. Of course, if you spent, say, if all you're doing is mileage, okay, and you're running, say, 100 miles a week, and you do that for 8 weeks straight, you're going to be in incredible fitness, and your ability to run at fast paces, even just based off of that volume, is definitely going to be higher versus if you were just kind of being lukewarm about your training. But to improve your ability to handle longer periods of time running at anaerobic threshold or tempo run effort, you are going to have to definitely be doing the VO2 max workouts, running it at sprint paces at times. And remember, there is slight differences between, I mentioned anaerobic threshold, we kind of throw around anaerobic threshold and tempo runs, but anaerobic threshold runs are around 10 to 15 seconds faster than tempo run effort. Okay, so tempo runs are still going to be a challenge to you, but not as challenging as anaerobic threshold runs. Okay, anaerobic threshold is, like I said, it's about 10 to 15 seconds, right around there, faster than tempo run effort. Okay, so we use these terms interchangeably, but there are slight differences between a tempo run and an anaerobic threshold run. Okay, the key thing is to spend a little bit of time each week, once per week, running at anaerobic threshold, i.e., or at tempo run effort, once per week at VO2 max effort, where you're running closer to your maximum oxygen uptake. You're running at paces that you're just only going to be able to handle for several seconds to several minutes at. Okay, examples of that are like repeat 400s, doing like, if you're training for a marathon, it might be 16 to 24 400s on the track, running at 10K race, 5K to 10K race pace, giving yourself maybe 2 minutes of recovery at the early stages of your buildup. Later on, might be 30 seconds to 45 to 60 seconds of recovery in between each one of your reps. Those types of VO2 max efforts are going to help you sustain your tempo run for a longer period of time. The key thing is to stick with what you're doing and stay consistent. Okay, if right now you start off like I start off with mine, I start off with 3 to 4 miles. I teach my body to first handle that, being on that uncomfortable and running at that particular intensity. If it's heart rate, heart rate is, if you're going off a heart rate, it's going to vary depending on your age. But when I was in my early 30s, I would usually run my tempo runs right around 168 beats to 172 beats per minute. I'm 47 now, but even now I try to get my heart rate around 162 to 164, 165 range for my tempo runs now. Okay, so it is important to spend that longer period of time running at tempo run or anaerobic threshold effort in those particular ranges for preferably around 10 miles to 12 miles once you've built up to that. That's the key. And I want you to definitely keep that in mind. It's going to take time. It's going to take, if you're doing a 24-week buildup, it's going to probably take you around 8 to 10 weeks of training to get to a point where you can do a 10-mile, 16 kilometer run, tempo run at that particular intensity. Okay, so I want you to be patient with your training. Don't lose enthusiasm for what you're doing in your preparation. There's going to be challenges in this sport. You're going to be tested in training. There's going to be times where you don't have somebody to train with on the track or on the roads. It's going to be you. There's going to be times where the weather is not cooperative. It's windy, it's raining, it's sleeting outside, it's snowing outside, it's super hot. You have to decide how badly you want success in this sport. And tempo running for marathon training will definitely get you outside of your comfort zone. It'll help you prepare to get to a point where you're in peak shape. And if you keep your volume high and you stay consistent with that, and you focus on recovery, you focus on the other recovery methods I've mentioned in the past, get a FitKing compression device. I'll leave the link below this video for that. That will help you recover faster after every workout you do, whether it's an easy workout or a tempo run or a track workout. Those types of compression devices will help you recover so much faster than if you didn't have that. So I highly recommend for runners to invest in those. Those will definitely help you get to a point where you recover much faster and you can continue to run at faster efforts, but also make sure that you're adapting more effectively after each one of these hard workouts that you're doing. So that's my advice in terms of tempo running for marathon training. If you're training for a marathon, you want to extend that out. Okay, if you're doing a 3 to 4 mile tempo run, that might be great for a 5K or 10K, but if you're training for a marathon, it's too short. So work to a point where you can extend that out to around 10 to 12 miles. Continue to work on your long runs, alternating a faster long run one weekend with a slower, relaxed recovery long run the following weekend. You're focusing on your sprints, you're focusing on hill repetitions, you're focusing on your nutrition, sleep, hydration, and recovery. If you do all these things, I promise you, and you focus on a longer build-up, especially for the marathon, minimum 16 weeks, preferably 20 to 24 weeks, you're going to set yourself up for success. So I hope this video is helpful for all of you that are wanting a little bit more input in terms of tempo runs for marathon training. Feel free to leave me a comment below if you have any other questions or concerns, anything that's on your mind. I'll definitely reach back out to you. Check out the resources below these videos as well as on RunDreamAchieve.com. They're definitely there to help set you up for success. So wish you guys and gals all the best in your training, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.